All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the Cross Up Podcast. This is going to be episode 7. And if you've seen episode 5 and 6, I am Duquan, and I am going to be the new guy here. So I'd like to also introduce Jeremy, Chris, and Alan.
What's
And
good?
today,
Hey.
we're supposed to be going over the importance of characters in video games.
And if I guess we can also kind of cover the topic of like the importance of video, I guess what we consider the importance of characters in video games, or if they're even important at all.
Yeah.
So I guess the first little topic is at least I'll give my little personal thing because I'm not gonna assume that everyone's like me. I find characters in video games, stories, anime, whatever it is, movies, books, extremely important and like the driving force of the narrative. If I don't care how good the story is or how bad the story is, as if there's like not a good character, I'm not going to be invested whatsoever. I think it's like the journey and the things that we're like basically the person we're seeing the story through is the most important part of the story. And if I can't get invested or at least like them to a certain extent, I'm tuning out. So like probably a really controversial topic is Attack on Titan. The main character, Eren Yeager, fucking hate him. I didn't like him.
Fair.
I don't like how his personal. I don't like what he becomes later on. I know a lot of like arguments are like it's part of the story. Like there's a reason he's doing. I didn't like it. Like I said, it's my own personal opinion. I'm not saying it's a bad show or anything because it's obviously a really good show. I was really enjoying it, but because I hated him as a character and he's the the main character, I tuned out. So
I never gave Attack on Titan a really fair shot at all.
Yeah. I think it's worth it. I think if you just like the show in general and it's not going to impact you that much, I mean, you probably will think it's a great time. I just think go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to add on to that. For me, the thing that has always been like not super controversial, but people always get taken back is I'm not a huge fan of certain American cartoons like Bob's Burgers. What's that the Strange Show, I think it's called. There's just like the new animation style, like all that stuff. I know for like, especially with Bob's Burgers, I know they have like some amazing writing and their comedy is like
it's pretty
on
funny.
point. Yeah, I know that and I can appreciate that, but I cannot fucking watch it. It's disgusting to me. Like I physically can't watch it. But I know it's great.
Like the art style.
Yeah, like the art style. Like I'm not gonna shit on the show. The show, I'm sure it's great and it's fantastic, but it's not something I can watch. I can have it on in the background and like listen to the jokes and like listen to the timing. Cool. But if I look at it, I hate it. I instantly hate it.
And honestly, it's not even like that uncommon in even our friend group. Like Austin, he won't watch certain anime if he doesn't like how it looks. It doesn't matter how good it is or not. And it's like it's the same thing like fucking Jeremy. If it's not looking like a AAA game, he's not playing it, so
Look, man, I expect the best. I want to see the best.
Hey, there it is. See, so like that's definitely. I think it's maybe like not a controversial take, but maybe like a hot take.
Yeah.
Although for me, I don't like characters. Don't necessarily make or break the game for me. Case in point, Forspoken. Those characters in that game are super stupid and annoying.
Awful. Yes.
But
that's the reason I dropped it.
Really good. The gameplay is actually really good. That's why I kept playing.
Yeah, I couldn't do that because the characters were so bad and the writing was horrible. I couldn't get past it. I was like, I don't care how much fun I could be having when I'm not in the cutscenes. I just hate this.
That is a fair point.
Yeah.
Apparently, that wasn't like the original draft of the game.
No, something happened, and I don't know what it was.
Something that Square Enix did. I don't know, but that writing was awful. God awful.
Yeah. Were you gonna say something else, Chris?
I was just gonna say like that's also the reason I'm not a huge fan of like Valorant. Like even though I love like FPSs, if I wanted to play an FPS that looked like it was made in 2006, I would just play like something that came out in 2006. I don't
think it's that bad. Like don't get me wrong, it's not like fucking amazing or anything, but I actually for what like the type of game they're going for and the artistic style is like the abilities and the characters, I think it's fine. Like obviously it doesn't look like I wouldn't put it in my top 10 fucking amazing looking games, but I think it's fine. I think it's more interesting to look at and visually more fun to look at than fucking CSGO. That's why I play Valorant over CSGO.
But that's the thing, right? Like
Yeah.
CS:GO is such a low bar already, just because it's a little bit better.
Well,
than
I
that,
have to
doesn't mean-
compare it. I have to compare it to CS:GO because it's a tactical shooter like CS:GO.
What about
There's
Team
not
Fortress?
Team Fortress. I mean, I think it looks goofy, but I think it fits the character, like
Yeah.
that game perfectly.
Yeah, but how long ago did Team Fortress come out?
2000. I don't know. Like, I actually
Well,
don't
it's
remember when it came out. 2008.
We have the internet.
We
Let's
do
see.
have the internet. Look it up.
2007.
There it is.
See?
2007.
Oh, that was
So-
quick. How did you?
There it is.
Oh, that was quick.
Yeah, man. It's called the internet. Google.
Google.
I know, right?
But yeah. So I mean, like I said, I also think the big draw, at least for me, is the characters in Valorant and things of that nature. So I like it, but again, it's just personal preference, right? Like if you don't like it, it's just not for you, which is fine.
Right.
But yeah, I think I like again personal opinion. I think characters are super important, also because there's a lot of characters that probably people know and they don't even know where they're originally from. Like I think there's a huge part of the general populace that doesn't even play video games that at least knows who Ryu, Chun-Li, and like Mario, Pac-Man are. I mean, obviously with Pac-Man and Mario, they can just say, oh, they're just from Mario, because those games are named after the character. But like, you know, people that know Chun-Li or Ryu or like even Master Chief aren't going to know they're from Street Fighter or Halo. Maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe it's becoming a little more popular now with gaming on the rise, but like at least like even in the earlier 2000s, right? Like my parents even knew who Master Chief was with Halo 3 coming out. Again, it's because I played it and I bought stuff for it, but like they at least knew who the character was. They even knew its name. So like I said, I think it's really important, but again, I'm here to have that discussion. We can maybe by the end of it we find out they're not that great.
On the opposite spectrum, it's Concord. Those characters, trash.
Okay, so we are going to cover that. We're going to cover that because it's like one of the questions that I have in the outline is, I guess we can talk about that now, is like I think it is important to have like characters that look more maybe unique or interesting, that are designed really well, but then we start running that line of like how much is too unique.
Is too unique. Yeah. I think Concord is that way too unique that it just doesn't look very good.
What's also the intention, right? Because like if we want to give it the benefit of the doubt, right? Like I don't want to just shit on it because it's a game that got canceled or whatever. Because like there's like one or two characters that actually look pretty good. Like they did a really good job, and so like their intention was obviously they wanted to make aliens out of this world characters, make it unique to the game, because it was more like it wasn't a hero shooter, was it? Is that what it turned out to be?
Yeah.
So like I get why they wanted to make them so different from each other, but also they don't want to be mistaken for another character. But there was a line that was crossed, and I hate it because like again, while I don't like it and I hate how they look, and that's just my opinion, right? I don't approve of all the like death threats and horrible shit talking that a lot of these artists have gotten online.
That's inexcusable.
It's always the worst part. Like I get it, dude. The game didn't sell well. You're not happy. You might have spent the money to get it. But these guys are, you know, it's their livelihood, it's their work. Like we have the right to critique it, but not just shit on them relentlessly for it.
Right.
So yeah, I guess we can kind of talk about that. You guys can give your opinions on like maybe you can use Concord as an example or other characters. I'm trying to think of other characters that I've kind of like been like, that's not a good design.
I think for me, the characters would have been fine if the marketing was better. You know what I mean? Like when they first marketed it, it didn't look like a hero shooter. I thought it was a first single player game.
I thought it was going to be a single player story driven game with characters. Yeah.
That would have been fine.
I think that would have worked out really well.
But then they just flipped and said hero shooter. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
don't know what to think about this now.
Oh, I remember watching the trailer for it, and I think we were all watching it together, and as soon as I saw like, oh, it's multiple characters, like this is 100% a hero shooter, and they're like, no way, and then it gets to the end, and it's like, welcome to Concord, our hero shooter or something like that, and I was like, knew it.
Yeah, I don't know. After like taking looks at Concord for a while and like hearing the comparisons of different things they probably took inspiration from, I honestly don't even know if it is that Concord is like they went for too much of a uniqueness. I think that they didn't have a strong enough like unique pillar.
Or
'Cause,
like
like for
maybe lacking direction or like presence.
no, when I say unique pillar, I mean like for their characters and like how they actually are presented to the player.
Oh, okay,
Because the
okay.
way that they look to me, like as far as the artistry behind it, I think the characters are fine. I think they're fine if they are just going to be generic people that the player is destroying as you're like running through
Right.
somewhere. But as like something that the player can identify with, there is no pillar for them. Like you think about something like Overwatch versus Battleborn, and I think
Oh,
Battleborn's a good game.
Battleborn.
Just
Yeah.
just put it out there. But I think even Battleborn having more content and more things available for the player, and in my opinion, a bit better gameplay. That's me. I played Battleborn. I think I actually played a little better than Overwatch at the time. I'm
Try
gonna
not
say
to
Right.
be
that.
biased about that too.
Uh, um, but when it comes to Overwatch, like when you see Tracer, it is like undeniable that character is very unique in what she brings to the table. And like the
Right.
same thing with Reinhardt and Genji, like those are characters you could imagine somebody having on their desk. Like
Mm.
the pillar of their uniqueness is the entirety of that thing. Versus in Concord, they want the uniqueness to be how they play. And that's
Which
just not how you
isn't,
get
it's
people.
not gonna be, that's not how you're gonna get people invested. Because there's no
No.
appeal there. Like, because don't get me wrong, like as you know, probably as shallow as it sounds, I think the majority of people, they're attracted to, at the very least, to at least try things or even try
Hmm.
characters if they find them attractive or really cool. Like when I played Overwatch like a lot, when I was like playing ranked and everything, I was a Genji player.
Hmm.
Damn.
Which is
Yeah.
kind of surprising considering, like, if you know me, I'm very much like a waifu player. Like I play female characters. It does, and I pick one that I'm like really attached to, and it doesn't matter how bad they
Hmm.
are, I'll make it work. But with Overwatch, you have this fucking cyborg ninja that throws shuriken, fucking flies all over the map, has a dash. You
Yeah.
pull out a sword for his ultimate. It's fucking sick. And there's also like a
Mhm.
huge. And then like once I started playing him, I was, the funny thing was, I had picked up Genji when he was like overpowered. Like he had the 8-second ult, he had the double jumping, he was omega strong. I was horrible, couldn't use him. And it wasn't until obviously like getting to play him because he has a high skill ceiling and stuff like that to actually use him effectively. Once he was like fully nerfed and people consider him bad, I was actually like really good at him. And so like if it wasn't the appeal of like how cool he looked and how cool his skins look, him having the sword and the shurikens, I would have never tried him. I would have just kept playing female characters and probably stop playing the game eventually. But so like I
Hmm.
think with Concord, right, I remember looking at the characters, and I think other than like the one female character that was like the lead in the trailer,
Yeah, the weird green
yeah,
cat lady.
yeah. So it's like, I guess I could maybe try that. Like at least with Battleborn, right? I didn't play it very much because I wasn't the biggest fan of it. But like at least there was
Mm.
something there. Like the gameplay wasn't boring by any means. It was pretty fun when I tried it for the little while. It took too long to get games at the time because I think I was just late. But like the characters I at least found interesting enough to be like, okay, I can try this guy or this girl, and go see from there. I think there's like a few games that I can think of that, like Concord being one of them. I'm trying to think of like I recently, like, I have a friend that got me into Dead by Daylight.
Mm.
Again, pretty much same thing. Waifu player. I was like, oh, they gave me some generic looking ass nerdy dude. I'm not doing that. I'm part of the problem. I immediately went into the shop, started looking at the female characters I could unlock. It's a completely different art style. I just wasn't the fan of. But they have they have collaborations with other IPs. You have Laura Croft, you have Ada Wong, Joe Valentine's. It's like, okay, I can just play these characters and I'm fine. And so like at least that game has those kinds of things, and there's things that people can gravitate towards.
Mhm.
And I just think like certain games are too caught up in, I don't know if they're trying to do like a message or they're trying to do something specifically and they get caught up. They don't really think about those kinds of things. Or it's just something that gets glazed over. I don't know. Because obviously like I'm not the one developing these games. I've never had that experience. So I don't know what all goes behind the scenes. But at least when I play certain games that I just drop, it feels like they overlook some of the more basic things that people look for.
Yeah, for me, I don't know. The way I pick characters is so out of the bag, dude.
Oh, I mean, speaking the Yoshi player, yeah, of
For
course.
in Overwatch, I played what's that guy's name with the 2 shotguns?
Oh, Reaper.
Reaper. I played Reaper. Apex, I play Bangalore all the time. Like,
Yeah.
Dude, there's no connective thing that tells me I should just play this type of character.
But you have like, but there's, at least those characters all have like a draw, right? Like whether it was, at the very least, like you saw what they looked like and you're like, oh, he's kind of cool looking, I'll try him. And then the gameplay is what gets you to stay, right?
That's probably I play characters that look cool. I'm just gonna stick with.
See, for me, right, like in fighting games, I'm very much a rushdown character type of guy, and that is primarily what I would look for. I was like, okay, what are the rushdown characters? I'll look it up, try to look into it, and then I was like, okay, which of those characters are female? And then I'll look at those, and then I'll pick the one that I'm like most attracted to, and I'll try it. Most of the time, it's not the one that I enjoy, like playing, and then I'll try a bunch of different characters, and I'll end up, playing something eventually. But yeah, so like at least, again, there's that appeal, right? They look cool. They look like, oh, you can maybe be like, oh, I think, in some cases, like some characters have heterochromia. Some people have that shit. And they're like, oh, they have heterochromia. I do too. I'm gonna pick them and try them. It's like little things, right? That like I think sometimes get missed. I don't know.
Well, I think it's definitely been more prevalent, like in the last couple of years, where you have characters that have, like you said, like heterochromia or just different aspects that is not just like generic NPC looking dude or girl. I think that's really cool that like more and more games are coming out that have like that that big scary word, representation. Like I think it's great where like you're able to like log into a game and see something that you can identify with, and it definitely makes playing games like a more enjoyable experience, at least for me, because like 90% of the times the games that I play, you don't even really see the character other than like their hands or something, right? But
when you open up that pause menu, they look
yeah
great.
like exactly. I'll spend like 20-30 minutes setting up an outfit just because I know it'll look good when I do open up that pause menu.
Yeah. And I like it because I know a lot of people kind of hate it, because I think representation is a great thing, because I think I would say, especially nowadays, there's a good chunk of players that will gravitate towards those things that they will like identify with. Like in King of Fighters, I mean, it's a bonus that she's super hot and attractive and she's fun to play, but Angel is one of the Mexican representatives as far as like the King of Fighters like roster. And so I was like, oh, well, that's fucking sick. I'm playing her now. And so she's like my like lead fighter or whatever. So having that kind of stuff is pretty nice, but I also think that sometimes games go a little too much in that direction. Trying to force the representation, which it didn't need to be there. Because I think there's a really fine line. I don't know, I could be wrong. At least the way I see it with these games, sometimes there's a really fine line with like, yeah, let's have these types of characters and stuff like that, or just forcing the narrative to be like that type of character. Like I guess the biggest controversial one is like The Last of Us 2, right? Yeah.
That I don't even know if it's controversial at this point. It's just kind of weird.
It's very just weird.
Like I think the majority of people could agree that's just weird. Like
it's just weird.
I don't know.
Remind me again, what are you referring to? Because I never played the game.
What's the
Abby? Is it Abby?
Lady? Abby, yeah.
Oh, Abby
it is.
Like buff.
Yeah.
Yep. So many words about her. It's like the same conversation as I don't know if y'all have played Mortals of Avium. There's like a character in there that's like a lady, and she's just like, she looks like she belongs in Gears of War.
Yeah, she does.
She's just massive, and it's like, you are so out of place. Why? Like everyone else is a normal sized character. Everyone looks regular,
she's like,
and then here you are,
massive in comparison to your character. She's like head and shoulders above you and wide. Like,
yeah.
That reminds me of Cyberpunk. It's like a boss named Sasquatch, which is a buff ass cyberpunk lady.
but I guess you
Yeah.
can put it at least at the enhancements at that point, right? But
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Like when it goes against what's really going on, which I guess was the thing with The Last of Us, it's like you're in a place where a lot of people are like starving. There's not a whole bunch of things going on as far as like, bountiful, no one can just keep eating to maintain that type of muscle mass. And a lot of the guys you run around and see are normal sized individuals. There aren't a whole bunch of hulking folks, even though even somebody like Joel is like in pretty good shape, still doing stuff. He's not massive. Then you get Abby, and she just looks like
she just got
all the
with a
SEAL teams
pump.
combined. Yeah,
Yeah.
and she just had a pump, and it's like like I don't understand. It just makes it like
And then like, and say what you want, right?
yeah,
Like, I have no problem with a character like Abby existing in video games. I think it's fine.
yeah.
There's also a big subset of gamers that are like, I can identify with characters like Abby. My problem
Mhm.
was with how she fit into the fucking story narratively. I
Mhm.
Yeah.
hated it. And it was
Pretty
extremely
much.
forced to just have a character like her be part of the focus and be like, oh, look, guys, we have this type of character in our game. That's what it felt
Yeah.
like. And that's the stuff
Yeah.
that I hate. I don't have a problem with
Gotcha.
Abby being in the game. I hate how she
Mhm.
was written in, and therefore how her character was essentially written in general.
Right.
Mm.
And that's the problem.
Yeah,
Because obviously,
Yeah, I had
like
a problem with it, let me tell you.
lore wise, with how the character looks and in the world doesn't fit. Like what Daquan said is completely valid. But taking that aside, right? I still have my biggest issue is just how she fits into it narratively, and it just made the whole overall game worse.
Yeah.
So I never played Last of Us Part 2. I probably will never play Last of Us Part 2.
I don't blame you.
Mm.
Uh,
Mm.
what about Abby? Like,
So
set you
okay,
off?
so if I'm remembering correctly, Daquan can. I was like, I played through this so quickly in a rage that I don't even remember everything. Because the first game is so fucking good in comparison.
Yep.
If I remember, I'm not gonna go too in depth, but obviously spoilers for anyone who hasn't played it at this point. It's like 3 years now.
Mhm.
If I remember the chain of events, I don't remember why, but Abby kills Joel, right? There's like an altercation. She kills him, and then we have like this little moment where we're like kind of letting that sit in, and then it felt like almost 180 immediately. We're now our main focus is now Abby, and she's the main character, and we're supposed to feel bad for her. We're supposed to root for her after what she just did. So like the way she's introduced and then you're forced to play her was already like a major red flag to me. And then you consider, and then you're going back and forth between Ellie and Abby, and then Ellie's having to like go through the world and trying to come to terms with like no longer having her compass, her father figure, and trying to survive in this world, trying to do what she believes is right. And then we're also alongside supposed to be like, again, feeling bad for Abby's situation and hoping that she makes it out. And then at the end of it, I was just like, I don't even remember how it ended. I was upset.
I felt so bad for Abby. Like it. Yeah, I don't understand.
If I can remember, Joel at a point in time they killed one of Abby's friends.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Like,
it was
one of
like
Abby's
through
friends was-
revenge.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So pretty much that was
so like
a
that's
track down
like
that
that's the story they gave us. So we're like, oh, she did it for a reason. But no, I don't give a fuck about this new fucking character that just murdered the main character that I'm invested in. I don't know this bitch.
Yeah.
It's like my issue with the Rings of Power's introduction of the main character. They show her when she's little getting bullied. Okay. Like, I'm not going to immediately feel bad because someone's getting bullied. What did she do before? We don't know the context. You give us this one little scene to like feel bad for the character, feel and empathize and be like, oh, this is who we're supposed to root for. And then she goes into the future, and because of the one scene we got of the context, she's like, this is why she's so tough leading. But no, she's like just a dictator and a bitch. And, she's all of a sudden super strong, can do this by herself. Why does she have teammates?
Yeah, which is, again, crazy. Like, Galadriel, that has nothing to do with her character at all.
No,
So
it
it's
isn't.
just...
I think if the whole
Yeah.
I think if the original plan was to have Abby as a character, which is fine, and the original plan was for her to take out Joel because of something. They just went about it the whole different way. Like, I don't think I have an innate issue with Joel dying off. He was an older guy in the first game, and we're in the future. Like, especially in a world like that, I expected Joel to die in the second one. I'm not upset with Joel dying. I'm upset with Joel dying the reason, and then us having to feel bad and empathize and follow this character shortly after.
Yeah. Also, how aggressive the scenario was.
Yeah.
And this is, I guess, another part of this is like, if you're going to mess with the character of a story, because I guess there's like two layers. Just like the character of the story that you're trying to give the player, like when they see it, that is the Last of Us character, and then you have the characters within the character, which is then Joel and Ellie and them. If you're starting to say like you're just gonna shatter all of that all at once, then yeah, you get the jarring scenario where you have Abby beating Joel's face in,
Right.
and it's like there are so many other ways this could have ended, and y'all decided to literally start with, we are going to insert this and you will accept it. It is like what they did with Abby is what I guess the same reaction is when people see Concord. Like they effectively have found a way to mimic that across the industry without even having a character to attach to begin with.
Right.
Which is laughable at this point, because you have all these examples, like we mentioned, like Overwatch, and then you have like King of Fighters. You have all these other things you can kind of just look at. It's like, oh, this is how you probably put a character. This is how people can identify with stuff. This is how we can get people to want to play this. But yeah, I think maybe it is just the Abby syndrome going on here, because it's been with multiple projects at this point, and it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
So even though I'm not going to play the game, I'm going to watch season 2 of the series. Do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they'll not necessarily?
If they just continue following the game, that'd be wild.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll like
They'd
maybe
have to change it.
How it happens?
I think they'd have to change it. I just don't know what they would do. Because obviously, like, they're using the games as the basis of the story, right? Because they're fans of the people watching that show, for the most part, are fans of the show or the game, and that's why the first season did so well. I just don't know what the fuck they do.
So now here's my next question. So if they change the way Joel dies in the show, do you think that will translate over to part 3?
I think they'll probably have to see the reception, but I think there's also a few things that's a bit of a problem
retcon,
with
that's what I'm
Joel.
looking for. Sorry, retcon. There we go.
Yeah, retcon. I think that might be the case, because I will say this. What's his name? Pedro Pascal?
Yeah.
No one wants to see him go out like that.
No, 100%.
Like, I don't think anybody wants to see that. And if they have the intent to make that be known, I think part 3 is like dead on arrival.
Pretty much.
Like I
so in the show, you'd rather see Pedro
out.
Pascal. In the show, you'd rather see Pedro like go out like as an old man, basically.
I would much rather see Pedro Pascal get fucking eaten by one of those zombies than watch what happened to Joel in the game.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and even with the thing with Abby killing Joel, I don't have a crazy issue with Abby killing Joel.
No,
my thing is like Joel has gone against such crazy scenarios, and even like playing as him throughout the game to help out with Ellie and stuff. It's just it's way out of character, even at his age, to just get beat like that. Like it doesn't make sense to me. Like it would make more sense if it's like a Simba and like a Mufasa and a Scar
like
thing,
sacrifice himself or
like he thinks he's doing something that's important. Then Abby is like no, and then she shuts the door on him, and then he gets killed by something, and then Ellie never gets closure and doesn't know what's going on. Like that would make more sense, and I think people can accept that a bit further. But just to say like, oh yeah, she just ran up on him and they just broke his leg and started beating his face in, that's just yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they do that in the show. I'm
just
I should just turn off.
No respect and no longer paying attention to anything related to that IP, unfortunately.
No.
So on a more positive note, since we've it's been like 30 minutes of just depression. Well, let's talk about some of our favorite characters. We can talk about the characters in games, movies, books, TV shows. So, Chris, what are some of your favorites? It doesn't have to be like absolute favorites, but just some of them.
Oh well, I mean,
and then maybe reasoning.
yeah. I mean, the classic is like Master Chief is just great overall character. Cade. Cade 6
Cade
from
6.
from
I was like
Destiny.
thinking of it. I think he's such a cool character. Love that guy.
I hate that guy.
And then like back to like Overwatch. I think when you were playing Genji, I was with Hanzo. Like I love
You
his
did play a lot of
design,
Hanzo.
all that, like the wall jumping, all the arrows. Like I just everything about the design spoke to me, and I loved it so much. What's also a good one? Oh, like one we really haven't touched on, Crash Bandicoot. I loved that playing that as a kid. Like I just thought it's not a super serious design. It's like super goofy, but it just works. Like especially like in the
I think in that world,
the
especially
game itself. Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
What about you, Jeremy?
I'm gonna try and give you one from 3 different things. So for
Okay.
video games, I'm gonna say Cloud from 7, since that's my first like actual Final Fantasy. Stop laughing. Sir. I see you. I see you. Stop.
He's up there in my top 5 favorite characters of all time. So,
Um,
all I'm
for
saying
anime,
is Sephiroth. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, Sephiroth is up there too.
he's the
Cloud's
top 5 villains for sure.
Ichigo.
Ichigo's a good one, actually. I think, especially because it's like a shonen anime, I think people don't realize how good and well written Ichigo as a character is in that world.
And I've been watching the new. I'm finally trying to get through the new 1,000 War of Blood.
It's so fucking good, dude.
The first 8 okay, the first 6 episodes
first are wild.
Okay, they're pretty fucking wild, dude.
They're crazy. Episode 4 especially.
Yeah. Carnage, which is I love Carnage, dude.
Comic book Carnage or Spider-Man 2 Carnage?
Carnage.
Oh, just Carnage in general. Okay. Is he even in Spider-Man 2? I don't know.
Yes, he's not technically.
Okay.
But Cletus is.
Cletus is. Okay. So he'll be in the next one. Gotcha.
So when I went through that whole quest line, I was like, what is this fire thing? And then it's like continually going through, it's like, oh shit.
Okay. But Carnage is a character.
I'm on board. Yes.
Okay.
It's probably my favorite Marvel character of any Marvel IP.
That's fair.
I'm trying to think. So Inception, I really like Cobb in Inception. If you ever seen Inception, I've seen Inception.
Never seen Inception.
Like maybe 10 times.
Really? Okay. I mean, I just recently watched Interstellar like 6 months ago, so like I'm catching up.
Christopher Nolan movies are probably my favorite movies of all time, and Inception is probably like number 1 on that list. Just close to it is The Dark Knight.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Oh, you still going? You still got something? I'm ready. I'm ready. No. If you got more, let's hear them.
I'll just say Clive, because Clive is
Clive is a really good character for that story. Dude. I think for that story in particular, he was like the perfect character.
Yeah. All right, that's it for me.
Okay. What you got, Declan?
Let's see. I mean, I don't know. I mean, one of my favorite characters in Bethesda is definitely Todd Howard.
Todd Howard.
But no. no. I would say video game wise, weird, I guess, but I like Tak from Tak and the Power of Juju. I like him.
I haven't thought of that game in years, dude. I just had a brain blast.
It's like out there, but I didn't have a whole lot of games growing up, but like that was one of them. So definitely really enjoyed it. And then I do like Sora.
Sora. Okay.
That's not what I expected you to play for some reason.
I wasn't expecting Sora. I'll be real.
I do like Sora. I think he was really well thought out for the audience and for the demographic who would have picked up the game. Because I kind of put Sora in the same category as Naruto. I really don't like Naruto as a character, just putting it out there. I think I've told Jeremy a few times I like going off on a rant about why I don't like Naruto. But
I don't blame you.
As far as like, But as far as Sora goes, like Sora feels like that young character is kind of like going through it and experiencing the Disney stuff is, we're pretty much experiencing it new in his world too. So everyone's kind of like going through it together. And the reactions, the way he kind of deals with stuff, it's all pretty innocent and well done to me. So I really like Sora.
Okay.
As far as movies, one of my favorite characters has to be Jack Sparrow.
Oh
Like,
yeah, absolutely.
okay.
Jack Sparrow's great.
No matter where I see that
They
character, I'm like,
they want to reboot that series? Absolutely not.
Nah,
Now
man.
without him.
Not without him. He
yeah.
is that movie. He
Without
is
him,
that
there's no
series.
Jack Sparrow, pretty much.
He
Like
is.
he
He is chaos incarnate. Does whatever the fuck he wants, and it just works out.
Yeah.
pretty much. Yeah, when I was it pretty much got to be like Pirates and I think Pirates and Harry Potter for some reason both of those were normally coming out in the summertime.
Yeah, yeah.
If I can remember. So like since my birthday is in July, I normally went to go see one or the other, and I always chose Pirates over Harry Potter. I was like, I'll see Harry like at some point in time.
That's fair.
That's actually very funny. Like every Christopher Nolan movie comes out like at least a week or two, either ahead or before my birthday. I'll just go watch that for my birthday.
Right.
It doesn't matter
Every
what.
time. Yeah. And then for cartoons, I think it'll be a tie between I think I have a tie between Samurai Jack and no one laughed here. I think it's a tie between Samurai Jack and Sasuke from Naruto.
Okay.
I will say I am a Sasuke person. I do like him and how they put him together, but I think it's also for the idea of I guess it'll be like associative representation, if that's the way I can put it. There's a lot that I've seen them do with that character from start to finish that well, okay, let me not bring up the Boruto stuff because
We don't talk about
that's
Boruto.
different. We don't talk about that. Yeah, we don't talk about that.
The
But
actual
everything in
fucking
Naruto, yeah, everything in Naruto with Sasuke, I can understand. I've seen a lot of people say that he's whiny, he does this, like, oh my god, this, that, and other. But like,
No, that makes sense.
I can sit down and I can understand him. So,
Okay.
yeah.
That's pretty good. I guess some of my favorites would be obviously Cloud was mentioned. Tifa, I think, is the perfect, like, not necessarily partner, but like, what would you call it? Like a character parallel to Cloud that I'd put in that storyline.
Yeah, I get that.
I was trying to think of like a movie character because I was like, I have a lot of like, I know what my favorite movies are, but I don't think like any of those characters I would have been like, hell yeah, those are some of my favorite characters. Like, I'm a big fan of the Quentin Tarantino movies. And I think whenever Christoph Waltz is in it, he's like my favorite character in those movies. Motherfucker is so good. I love that man. As far as video games go, other than obviously Final Fantasy characters, I was trying to think because you have the stuff that you grow up with, right? Like Master Chief, good old Saup from Call of Duty. I mean, I think Marcus Phoenix is a great character for the Gears of War series.
Yep.
I fucking love, not to mention, like, because I consider them a duo, Dom's whole story through Gears is fucking phenomenal. What that man does, and his, like, also, like, if you, like, read the books and learned more about it, like, how Marcus and Dom grew up, it gives you more context to their relationship. He is, like, what I would consider the perfect definition as far as, like, fictional characters, like, the perfect friend and the true tragic hero. And it goes out like one. But it is what it is.
Pretty much.
Obviously Ichigo's a big one. I'm actually a really big fan of I'm obviously, like, as far as like anime goes, one of my favorite characters ever is Rin Tosaka from the Fate series. But that's like, as much as I love her character and I love that she's not like obviously like just like a damsel in distress type, she's very strong. She's actually the one that protects Shiro a lot of the times, and she's intelligent. People have they can complain about her personality if they want, but I'm a really big fan of her. And I'm trying to see if I can think one more as far as video games, but I think those are it. I mean, like, obviously I have favorite characters in like fighting games and stuff, but it's more maybe gameplay and design wise than like the actual character through like their story and whatnot. If I come up with more, I'll definitely say it.
I want to add one. I'm sure people are going to hate on this, but Superman.
For sure.
No, I think that's maybe not like the movies and stuff, but like especially the comic books, Superman's a great character.
As much restraint as this man has to put on his own self,
Right.
it's
Pretty much.
It's absolutely crazy.
I mean, that's probably why I'm such a big fan of Spider-Man and the Flash. Especially in
like
especially in the comic books.
Superman, like at a high degree,
it's
that
over.
without any control, he can just wipe out everyone, like that.
Yeah.
But
I can't stand Batman. That's
not even Batman. Batman
can't.
I'm sorry. I love Batman.
Yeah. I like Batman. I like Batman as a character.
I can't stand Batman. I honestly, and I don't use the word frequently, but like I put Batman in the same category as Naruto. I cannot stand those characters. I cannot.
That's
like
fair.
It's we could go back and forth about them at a point in time, but
yeah
Batman is.
Is it because he has an answer for everything? Is that the reason why? Is it because he's rich?
I don't like Batman because what the character is there for. Like,
what do you think
Bruce,
he's there for?
I think he's there for you to insert your own, like, so Batman is supposed to be the spirit of vengeance. He's supposed to be like, I am justice in your hand. And I think that preys on like the darker bits of humanity. Like I honestly think he is like when someone sees Batman beat down a thug in the alleyway, they're looking like, yeah, like, you know, Batman get him, and it's like
he just committed a crime.
He just committed a crime. Like Batman should be in jail. Like he gets away with it because he's rich. Like that is the only reason he's not in prison. But people like cheer him on. And I know, like, you know, he can outsmart people, and there's some like, you know, cool Sherlock Holmes type of stuff going on. But in reality, he's literally just a problem. Like,
would you like him more? Would you like him more if he did more of the detective stuff and less of the fighting?
Yeah, like if he was more like the what's his name, Tim Drake?
Yeah,
I think his name is Tim Drake. If it was
Nightwing.
more of like
Nightwing,
if he was more of the Tim Drake stuff, I think I would appreciate Batman more because then it would make sense. Like they need his mind, not his body.
Sorry, Tim Drake is Robin. I think you're talking about.
Yeah, he's Robin. You're thinking about Dick Grayson.
Yeah, Tim Drake did more investigative stuff.
Yeah,
than any other Robin probably.
Yeah, if he was more like that, and it's just like okay, like, you know, he's like leaving random clues for the cops to, you know, just all of a sudden he picked it, or even if he sets up a trap to catch somebody because he knows where they're going to be, that would make more sense as Batman. But like when you're physically running around and like maiming people, it's like, oh, Batman doesn't kill. Yeah, but you just punched this guy and threw his head into like, you know, 2 steel lockers. Like,
right.
like come on, like
straight up.
I guess since we're on the topic of Batman, one of my all-time favorite characters as far as like it's like animated series and I guess comics. I wish I would read more about him, but I'm a big fan of Joker, especially in the Batman animated series. It's my favorite iteration of the Joker. And that version of it's Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
And also that iteration of Harley Quinn is also my favorite.
Yeah, she's hilarious.
My favorite character is Jason Todd.
Jason Todd?
Oh my goodness.
Under the Red Hood. That movie was so good.
Oh yeah, that one's great.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
And so that sold me on Jason Todd right there.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's pretty good.
I mean, I really love Booster Gold, but you know, I'm joking.
Booster Gold.
I guess we kind of talked about it a little bit, but we can, I guess, maybe go a little more in depth on what you think makes a good character.
I don't know. For me, so Cloud, for me, he has a lot of trauma in his character that isn't very apparent at first.
No, you don't even notice it until way later.
You don't even notice it until like maybe
2/3 into the game.
Yeah, 2/3 of halfway through the game, and then once that happens, like his whole character just does like a 180.
But what's like, fucking so, at least even in the old one, like they're doing it way more in your face in the new ones, at least for the little bit, because I'm still not even done with part 1, by the way. So I don't know how in depth they really go, but like I really like it in the original. Is like if you're really paying attention and you're aware of what's happening, there's small signs here and there, left and right, constantly being like, hey, something's not right. Tifa especially, like that's why I consider her, like if I'm talking about Cloud as one of my favorite characters, Tifa's alongside it, because Tifa is also the, like what I would consider the fact checker. You'll like one of the very first signs is when she sees Cloud for the first time at Seventh Heaven. He's like, yeah, well, a lot can change in 7 years, and she stops talking. She immediately recognizes like something's wrong. It hasn't been that long, but she doesn't say anything. Then they go inside, and then next time she says that, or and then she actually makes a note out of it, is when they go to Costa del Sol and they're talking about the plan in the hotel. She then brings it up again, like, hey, that's not right.
Yeah,
like your
and the
memories
remake
are wrong.
and the remake and Rebirth, they definitely put it more out there.
Mhm.
It's more so. Yeah, once you get there, it's gonna be. Oh, I see. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
I think part of the reason why I put, again, because I put them together, why I even rate Cloud so highly as a character, is, again, because of how he's written and his evolution as a character. But I think it's because I value Tifa so highly in that story and her role in that story that he raises Cloud up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Or oh, you can go ahead.
I was just like, because I was like, as much as I do love Aerith, I don't think we get the same story without Tifa there.
No.
Yeah. That statement, I think, is what I believe ultimately makes a good character. Is would the world and story continue without them?
Mm-hmm.
And if the answer is no, and I don't just mean like some crazy nonsense where like, oh, again, more with the Abigail stuff, you just put them in here. Would Last of Us 2 be the same story? Probably not, obviously. But it's like, would it have the same magnitude, positive magnitude or negative, I guess, depending on the villain? Would it have that same magnitude on the story and like the world that you live in if that person was not there? And yeah, I don't know. I think if you take Jack Sparrow out of like Pirates of the
It's not the
Caribbean,
same
it's not
story.
Pirates of the
It's
Caribbean.
not the
Yeah,
same
it's just
story.
not the same story. So it's like I keep thinking about it like that. If you take this person out, will the story continue? And will it even be the same story? And I think that's the same thing you run into with something like Rings of Power.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, and I know the actual name of it is the Rings of Power, but ultimately it's not the Lord of the Rings because the actual characters people care about are gone. Like they're not. I mean, people like Galadriel and the rest of these people, but
It's not
the
the
rest of
same.
these folks were, they're supporting. The whole thing with them should be like mystery and the soft magic type of systems. But you're trying to give people stories where their story isn't necessary for the person to be in this world. Like if we never got this story from Rings of Power, the Lord of the Rings verse would still be here. Like the Tolkien verse would still
Right.
exist. Nobody would be upset about it. But yeah, I think that's probably where I lay.
I think if you remove Tifa from 7 as the fact checker, I think the story could potentially be the same, but Cloud will realize something's wrong way late in the game.
While I maybe agree that he maybe would pick up on something, but I think because of the story arc that happens, all right, spoiler alert for the fucking original game, if you guys haven't played it, it's fucking like 30 years old, please. After Aerith dies and the whole character arc and everything that happens after Cloud goes into his fucking little thing, and then he goes and then Tifa becomes the main character. None of that would have happened. Cloud, I don't think would have had the character growth needed to be to the point where he could get better and become the character that he was without Tifa.
Right.
And because if Tifa isn't there to be there and like support him, and he's the one that walks him through that whole getting his memories recollected properly, like who do you put there to make the same impact? It's not going to be Barrett because of the character and what he's like. Like, don't get me wrong, he's there to support Cloud and he's a friend, right? But it's not the same impact. Like, it's not, I think, what Cloud needs.
Yeah, it won't be Sephiroth.
Yeah.
It's not Sephiroth, obviously. Sid, Vincent, like none of those characters provide like the support role needed in that situation with how they were written in that situation to be what Cloud needed.
So there really isn't anyone else
that could have done it. Aerith would have been the only one.
Yeah.
Aerith is the only one that could have filled in that gap, and she died.
Yeah. And then even another point to what I mentioned about me liking the character Sasuke, to that exact point that you made, no, don't want to mess up his name. Masashi Kishimoto mentioned like he literally wrote Sasuke in to drive Naruto.
Yeah, if Sasuke's not
like,
there, the whole
Yeah.
purpose of Shippuden and everything that happened at the last little bit of the original Naruto wouldn't have driven Naruto to become stronger and have a goal to go against Orochimaru and all of these people, because of like, he's not like, what's the purpose other than them attacking the village? He fights them in that moment, maybe realizes he's too weak and then trains, but at that point it's already like much later.
Yeah.
Like, just how Tifa was the driving force for the narrative in the second half of Final Fantasy VII, Sasuke has been the driving narrative since the beginning of Naruto.
Exactly.
Oh, speaking of good characters, Gon from Hunter x Hunter, bro.
Yeah.
His character development.
I think it's
a
good point of view to experience that story through.
Yeah. If you haven't watched Hunter x Hunter, I highly recommend.
What about you, Christian? You haven't said a whole lot yet about this.
Well, mostly because like these games are not something that I have any like knowledge on, so I got nothing for those. Gon, I agree. I like him as a character. He definitely reminds me of like early Dragon Ball Goku, like not Dragon Ball Z, but like but like Kid Goku, where he's just like this dude who's like getting thrust into a larger world he had like no idea of, but he like still takes him, like his personality and like his outlook, and just takes it with him, and it doesn't like let anything change that.
Yeah,
like I like that a lot. But I don't really have anything to add for Final Fantasy, unfortunately.
I meant just in like, what do you think makes a good character?
Like I think what we've been talking about, just being able to like see yourself in them, see the impact that they have in the world around them, and see that they're not just like token characters. You know, they're actually there. They have a rich backstory, or at least something akin to that you can relate to, or at least kind of see their motivations behind their actions. Because I think a lot of the times, especially like in video games, not a lot of people that like are designing these games, they'll spend a lot of time on like the actual design of the character, but not so much on like, hey, what are their motivations, what are their backstories, why are they doing the things they do, how do they fit into the world that they're in. Because I think that can be like the make or break thing. Because if we go back to like Concord, like their designs, they're not like the worst designs I've ever seen, but they're not great, right? They're not nothing to speak of, but they're definitely not the worst.
No.
But I think what threw me off the most was just the fact that like there's no substance there. There's no like there's no deeper meaning behind any other actions. There's no driving force that I can see like, oh, okay, this is why they act the way they act. This is the way they fit into this world. This is the way that the world fits into their narrative. Like, why is it this way? It was just kind of like they just came into existence. They didn't like it didn't feel like deserved or earned. And I think that's what like Overwatch did different, where like their designs pretty fucking unique. Like you can tell, I think I can't remember the name of the designer, but he was talking about how like one of the main goals when they were making Overwatch was that you would be able to tell from the outline of a character, like, oh, that's a Lucio, oh, that's a Pharah, right? And like that's really fucking cool to know that your designs are unique enough that without even getting the full look of a character, just from the outline, you're gonna be able to tell which one is which and what, and like anticipate their moves from that. I think that's really cool.
Sorry. Do you think Concord would have done better if they did like character lore trailers?
I think it would have been. It's something that hasn't been done in a while, but like, I don't know if you guys remember when games used to come out and they were single player games, but they also had a multiplayer part to it, right? Like the multiplayer was kind of like tacked on. So like you have what we've been talking about, The Last of Us. The Last of Us, the first game, was 100% a story-driven game, and everybody loved it. But there was also a small multiplayer tacked on that had like a little cult following to it, because it was like unique mechanics. You fit into this world. You're scavenging. You're doing all this stuff. I think if Concord would have come out and been like, "Hey, we're a single player game, but there's also this multiplayer aspect to it, and it can be even more basic. You know, like they said, it's just a hero shooter, right? So it's just a 6v6. You're not expecting anything out of it, but you have this amazing story behind it where you can like finish the story and you're like, hey man, you want to play for like a couple rounds? Yeah, sure, whatever. And it's just a couple rounds of hero shooter, nothing crazy, nothing fantastic about it. But because they went and decided to make it a live service hero shooter, and then at the last second they're like, oh yeah, here are the characters. Like that kind of felt tacked on instead.
Yeah. I guess a question for Jeremy, and since Taquan at least knows who they are, because obviously, I think a big part of why people even get some appeal of the characters, obviously their design.
Mm-hmm.
Since we were talking about it earlier, do you think Tifa would be as beloved as she is if she wasn't attractive, like
No.
designed the way she is,
No.
even though she'd have the exact same role and story and support?
No.
You don't think so?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Not at all.
I don't think so either.
No.
Because I think especially in like games and anime and stuff, like obviously like a big thing is obviously their design and how they look. Right. And if they're not attracted to people, it's already like a big chunk of investment gone.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. As far as the oh, well, go.
No, you're fine. I just wanted to see what y'all thought, because let's see if you thought similarly or not.
Yeah, as far as the characters and whether or not people are attractive, like even somebody like Han Solo, if they would have chosen somebody else who wasn't Harrison Ford, I don't know if the character would have been as successful.
I don't think so.
And I guess it doesn't. Oh, you can go ahead, Chris.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I think it does suck to say that whether or not they're attractive is a factor, but like realistically speaking, like that's what it comes down to, right? Can you actually like look at this character and not want to turn away for more than a couple seconds, you know?
The unfortunate saying is sex sells, unfortunately.
It does. Yeah.
It makes money.
On the flip side, though, I think if you present the game as not that at all, because like in the Elder Scrolls, those characters are not beautiful. They're not gorgeous. They're not handsome. They kind of just are like, these are some good character models for the game. It is like you kind of just go through it. That's why there's all those mods out there and about. But I think if you present your world as like everything is pretty low settings, we're not really trying to worry about, can you do X, Y, and Z? I think you can pull some good characters out of those type of scenarios because the expectation is set. But for, like I mentioned, certain audiences, certain types of games, you can't afford to not have characters that folks don't find appealing in some kind of way. Like I'm imagining if like Resident Evil, what's his name? Is it Leon? The one with the blonde hair?
Yeah, Leon Kennedy. If he wasn't looking like that, it's not the same.
Yeah, if he didn't look like that, it's like
and same with same with like Joe Valentine or even Chris Redfield. Like like Chris Redfield in 5, right? Fucking conventionally looking attractive dude, military dude, fucking jacked, like, it's fun. And then at the end of it, you punch a boulder. Like, you need him to look like he can punch a boulder.
Punching a boulder is wild. Just locking up.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it is sad. The whole thing with sex sales, though, as Jeremy mentioned, I really wish that wasn't the case because it definitely.
I agree with you, dude.
Yeah,
and while it does suck, I can at least show proper appreciation, and I'm grateful when games, movies, TV shows, anime, whatever the case may be, y'all can have the attractive characters to get the initial interest, but I will be eternally grateful for, like, again, we're just using it because we've talked about her a lot. Tifa, thank God she's a fucking well-written, great character, because otherwise she's just like a attractive girl with big boobs on the screen. Like, what is she here for?
Yeah, exactly. Like, they have to have substance.
Yeah.
They have to have something that you can attach other than just like, oh, they look good.
Yeah.
If the story isn't there, what was there to do?
At this point, it should just be a what is it called, like a diorama where you can just like flip and see the character in different
All
poses.
right. That's what that's
Yeah.
what the art book and the deluxe edition is for.
Exactly.
All right, I'm gonna bring up another topic real quick.
Yeah.
I don't think you wrote this one down, but like we kind of touched on it earlier, where we talked about how there's like recognition of characters outside of their respective video games by like people that don't necessarily play those games. Speaking on that, do you think that what Fortnite has done with adding all different franchises and skins to its game, do you think that has helped the recognition of some games, or like maybe even driven more sales to those games, or do you think it has like nothing to do with it?
Sorry, I knew something about Fortnite was going to come up eventually.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
every goddamn character is in Fortnite.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I do think while it maybe helps with recognition, I think it depends, because obviously it's not just kids playing Fortnite. Like it's a large population, you know, older people.
Yeah.
And I think those older people might be like, oh, I didn't know who this character was, and I looked into it, and I made, you know, I think there is a small percentage, I don't know how small, whether they, you know, went to go follow that medium, like the video game, movie, TV show, anime, whatever the case may be. So I think that definitely helped, because I think of such the massive impact that Fortnite had, especially outside of just gaming. I mean, it was the biggest video game at a time where every kid and teenager was playing. Like I'd find it crazier if they didn't impact those other mediums even a little bit.
Yeah.
I do find it weird sometimes they put characters in Fortnite that just seems like
So
not
out of place.
so out of place.
But it's funny. It's funny as fuck though.
It's great seeing Master Chief like fucking twerk or something, or like drive around in a little car. Like that's fantastic. I love it.
My favorite clip, and it had a caption. It showed a gameplay clip of Itachi with a lightsaber marking a stormtrooper, LeBron James, and Naruto, and then after murdering all of them, proceeds to hit the gritty. That shit's great. That's what I live for.
Yeah, I would actually say I think what Fortnite has done is actually maybe a bit more harmful to other IPs.
In what way?
I think if you're talking about like the more niche IPs, right?
No, I mean like even the broader IP, like having all these different characters in one spot without proper context. I think the generation that would have been introduced to those characters naturally, if they would have like been into those mediums, they would have more of an appreciation for that specific character and their franchise and what all they have going on. But now the people that grew up on Fortnite, they're gonna see all these characters and they're gonna say like, oh, like what's Naruto? But they're playing Itachi in Fortnite.
Right.
Or they're saying like, oh, yeah, I like playing the green guy, you know, the big boy, the big dude with the helmet. You're like, oh, Master Chief, and it's like, yeah, I don't really know his name, but yeah, that guy. I think those things are happening more than folks actually being able to understand like who they're playing. And I think I've seen it somewhere, whether it's like on a TikTok or something. But there was somebody who said there was a kid that was like talking about, oh yeah, I love my skin, and he played Master Chief. And then the older brother was saying like, oh, so you want to play Halo? And it's like, no, that game looks dumb.
Yeah.
And then it's like, but you're playing, and it was just funny watching them go back and forth. But yeah, I've seen a couple of more like videos of stuff like that where I think that's kind of what this is doing, because you're giving people access to people's skins without having the soul of the character. So I think that just, you know, desensitizes people to actually like go in and like actually get into these things. Especially because you're on Fortnite, you probably don't have time to dive into the other stories anyway at that point. But yeah,
I can definitely see that.
I think it also like this is such a like niche thing, but like I know like where you're coming from, but I also think that it's not on Fortnite to make those connections for people, especially with games that are like a lot older. So like you know, I know Halo just came out with a new game, but like let's face it, Master Chief has been around in the mainstream since like early to
4?
late 2000s, right?
Yeah, 4.
Yeah. So like, what is it? To 2010, 2012, I think.
2011.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily Fortnite's fault that the kids don't know what it is. It's the game developer, not the game developers, the franchise owners that don't put out new content or new stuff for kids to play nowadays, because they're more focused on like long-standing IPs that are doing well now, or like trying to get a quick cash grab with a live service game. Because I think there was just, I think it was last week or the week before that, where a Sony representative was talking about how PlayStation doesn't have any good IPs to draw from when it comes to video games.
They don't. They
They're
don't
like,
have.
we,
They don't have enough IPs.
yeah, exactly. They don't have enough IPs, but like, there's all, and like, I think I saw it on Twitter where like this guy posted like a picture of just a shit ton of IPs that they haven't had any games in like 10, 15 years.
Yeah,
That
where's Sly Cooper, Jack and Daxter?
they're just, yeah, like you're just sitting on these arguably great games, arguably great IPs, and you're not doing anything with it except maybe licensing the characters out to like something like Fortnite, something like Marvel's Heroes or something,
You
you
know,
know?
or you know what's missing in this like today and age? Like
Mhm.
besides Metal Gear Solid coming out, like the remake,
Mhm.
they could have been doing Siphon Filter remake
What is
right
it?
now. Siphon Filter,
Oh,
another spying game.
yeah, yeah.
That
Oh,
genre is
yeah. Yeah.
empty right now.
It is pretty
Yeah,
much
yeah,
empty
Not
yeah.
right
really much
now.
there.
Yeah.
Killzone, Resistance. Come on, Sony.
Oh, Killzone. Yeah,
Come on,
dude.
man.
Killzone. But yeah, I think
And
it does
I
suck
do.
that
I was
it's
gonna
like that
say.
that kids
I was
that
gonna
kids
say.
have.
I agree with you. Because
Yeah.
it is definitely part of like not having the newer games, right? But that's not the case for like a lot of those IPs that they're grabbing from. Because obviously, like there is, like you said, it is more niche because there are older IPs in there. And again, while it isn't up to Fortnite to cover that context, other than maybe giving the skin a bio, but like Apex does, but that's because Apex is their own world, right? It's not up to Fortnite to do it, and it is partly at the fault of the developers if it's an older IP, but at the same time, it's like it is just up to the consumer at the end of the day. So I guess it's like it's not really to blame, right? It's like if they don't want to go seek it out, they don't have to. So while I can see the point of view that Taquan is saying, it's like I can't really blame Fortnite for that problem.
I think if
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I'm about saying for my statement, yeah, I'm not coming at Epic
Oh, no,
for
yeah, I know.
destroying because I love Epic.
Yeah,
as
yeah.
much as people give them shit, like I love them as a company. For me, it's just when you create something that's more, when you create something that's kind of more relevant than what you're bringing into it, what you bring into it becomes less important.
Right.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah,
Make sure I say that
I
right.
getcha.
Cool.
Do you have anything else to say, Chris? I kind of cut you off. Sorry.
Did have a train, but it's gone. I think I was just gonna say that I think as long as people are still thinking about characters that haven't had a game in a long time, that keeps the hope alive that eventually it's going to gain enough traction and hopefully get a new game out, or at least something out. Because I think we talked about it last time, where it's like the worst thing that can happen to like any media, whether it's games, books, or movies, is that it's forgotten and destroyed. Like that's just awful, because like so many people worked on those, and it just being gone and like out of the zeitgeist sucks to see.
Yeah.
No, I have I guess a question, since we've kind of talked about different characters and obviously things of that nature. When you play a game, specifically like a single player game or a game with story, whether it's co-op or not, are you a self-insert kind of guy, like into the character and it's like you in that story, or do you just like enjoy the story through the main character's eyes, so to speak? And then do you prefer that over like a create your own character to self-insert?
Okay. For me, I am very much of like, hey, this game that I'm playing, it's basically a movie. I'm just watching it, and being more active in it. So like I don't self-insert whatsoever. I just enjoy the journey of the character that I'm playing.
Right.
I think it's a toss up for me. Like I don't mind inserting myself with that, but I also don't mind create a character either. As long as the created character has some type of significance and not just a dude just there. Like 14. Like my character is
you
the
are
main
the
character.
main character. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to feel like a different game. Like some other games,
Skyrim.
I'm gonna say Destiny. I'm just gonna say Destiny. Sometimes I don't feel like the main character in that game.
Yeah.
And then it just seems weird to me.
I think I've always been really iffy on Destiny and how they handle the character player. Because like the world of Destiny is so fucking cool, and then you hear the cool shit that the other Guardians are doing, and I'm just sitting here like, why do they feel and sound like they're so much stronger and capable than what I can do as a character?
Yeah, I think I'll speak on this about Destiny. Like if it sucks that if you want to feel like that guy, like the guy, you have to be able to do raids. Because like if you're doing day one raiding, I think with the last 4 or 5 raids, the way that the story has been set up is your character is directly referenced as the reason we get past that hump. Yeah, like once the first team beats the raid, new content is unlocked, and like all this new story floods in, and they're directly referenced as like, because this fire team was able to do this, when we now get to move forward with the story. Right. And I think like that is
don't
dope,
get me wrong, it's fucking sick, but only for them.
Exactly. That's the issue, right? It's only like, I think the percentage was like, I think it's 3% of the population that plays it are active raiders. Like only 3% of the people, and like even less than that are day one raiders, right? So it's so sad that that's the only way you'll feel that feeling that you're talking about, Alan.
Yeah, and that was always been my issue with that game. Like one of the issues, at least thematically.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a self-inserter. I've never been. Like the closest I get to self-inserting is like quote unquote like Bethesda games or games like Skyrim, Fallout New Vegas and stuff like that, where they give you choices. I don't even feel like I'm self-inserting in a lot of that cases. I just answer how I would answer, and that's the closest that gets. Like I'm still experiencing the character, like the story through this character as like a separate being altogether. Like I'm just following this person I made them look how I think they look cool or attractive, and I'm just following their story.
Yeah.
And so like as far as create your own character or like choose like having just pre-made characters, a lot of the times I just prefer getting to experience a story and just having whatever character is given to me. Like Final Fantasy obviously does a pretty decent job for the most part. Gears of War, again, you're just playing as Marcus Phoenix for the most part. And yeah, I just prefer that because like Christian said, especially if it's like a really good, interesting, engaging story with a really well-written main character, it's just a movie with some gameplay elements in between, and that's what I like. I want to experience that and have that connection to the world and have that investment through this world and these characters through that character, not as like myself as that character.
Could you imagine Metal Gear Solid being a created character?
Right. Like no.
Yeah. No.
Imagine trying to play God of War and then you're like, let me just self-insert my character into this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not Kratos, bro. It's all right.
Quan, looks like you want to say something.
Yeah.
I'm actually, my thing with all this is I don't like being a main character in a video game. It's not like my fun thing to do. I prefer to have my own character, and then I'm supporting the main character. So like, there aren't many games that allow that type of dynamic. But like the thing you mentioned with Destiny, where like you never feel like your character is as powerful as like the rest of these, that's actually what I'm okay with, because in my mind that's more grounded and like compelling for me as a player to continue in the world. Because if I was told I am the main the main individual, and I have to keep solving all the problems. But I am myself still. I'm looking like, to be honest, if this was me, I wouldn't be dealing with these problems. I'd be looking like I'm done. Somebody else handle this. I would have been at a cabin somewhere.
Right.
But like, I just, I don't know. I think it's cool to be involved in a well-written verse and then just have the main character doing what they're doing and knowing that I have a piece of the pie. Just like, oh, look, the main character is trying to assault this location, but like, hey, there's a bunker over there, but like, we need you to take that out because we got to set up comms and there's some crazy stuff happening. I like that thought process. It's like, okay, cool. Let me help out in the war. Let me go do what I need to do. And then when I'm done, I'm going to go back to the cool area y'all set up and I get to actually explore without worrying about the world threatening issue that the main character is worrying about. But that's me.
Yeah,
I'm a bit weird in that. So
it's a very unique experience because I very much prefer.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be like overpowered and all this like things just handed to me. But especially if I'm playing a game that's story driven or like a create your character, I want to be the main character. Like, I want to be the reason shit's progressing. I want to experience the world, and like, you can give me shit, like make me struggle, make it hard. Like, don't just give it to me. Make me do all this stuff, and you know, all the side quests and stuff. That's okay too. Like setting up a comms tower because you know the people that were trying to do it have been like overrun or whatever whatever the case may be. Like, you can add that kind of stuff, and I'll be okay with it. But I do, and especially in a story-driven character story, I want to be that main focus.
Yeah, I think back like in the Modern Warfare series, like you play as team like Task Force 141, like Gas, and Ghost, and Price, but the main character is actually kind of Price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Price is the main character, and you're just like a private that joined.
And you, I think you play with Price like maybe once or twice.
You in 2, you don't play him at all. I don't think.
I'm talking about like in
the new ones?
in the entire franchise, I don't think you play as Price. Maybe once in the remake version.
Oh, okay.
But like original, you'd never play with Price.
No.
Yeah.
You're just alongside him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, that in its own is a really good story.
Yeah.
Yes.
For me, I played Skyrim, I think, across the PS4, the Xbox 360, the Xbox One, and the PC. And then I also got it on Switch. I've probably played like almost 3,000 hours of Skyrim across like all the platforms.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely part of the problem. That's the reason it's getting ported to fridges.
You're right. I got problems, but look. There's the idea behind it where each time I do it, and honestly, this is another thing where I give Todd Howard his little flowers here. The combination of how they designed Skyrim, I've gone back to play it to understand the game. Like, not just like be there to just enjoy stuff, but like I've been actually trying to figure out like, why is the pacing the way it is? How does this character interaction like come back to you like 15 minutes after walking away from those type of stuff? So I'm just like constantly looking at all the stuff as it happens, and it got to a point to where like I didn't even do the Dragonborn story. I just like stopped there and just went off and did other stuff. It's like I never complete the story now. I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to be the chosen. I'm just gonna go over here. Like, I don't even get the shout. Like, I'm not even joking. I don't even like go to do the shouts. I just go over there and like immediately go over to the Mages Guild or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I just find it a bit more like I'm actually, and I guess that's the difference for me. I care more about the game world than I do about the character. Like, if that's the way to put it. Like, the other characters around me are more important than me. Yeah.
Okay.
That's an interesting take. He's like, I'm done with responsibility in the real world. I didn't come here for responsibility. I just wanted
like, and this is another piece. Like, my actual, like, if I had a dream game that I can say like, hey, this studio make this thing, I would love to have like a Lord of the Rings game that's like co-op and like survival, but like I'm not Aragorn, I'm not Gimli, I'm not Legolas, I'm not an important person. Like, I don't even get to choose to be an elf or something. I am just a human, and you put me in a spot between like Rohan and what's the other place called? How am I forgetting the name of this? Gondor. Like, you put me between like Gondor and Rohan, and then just say like, survive, and like at some point maybe a ranger will come by to help you out or something like that. Like, let me just be there and like have a Red Dead experience.
Have you heard of farming sims?
Yeah.
That sounds like what you want. You just want like a farming simulator.
I have, but like even those, like they don't have the same stakes as like if you were like, I guess that's what I'm looking, even for like Gears, and I guess it could be
Mhm.
translated for Gears. If you told me I was just like a random cog having to help out Marcus and them on another mission, like that fear of like I'm not important, I'm probably gonna get messed up, like that to me is more stakes than having the responsibility of the main character. And like with the Lord of the Rings thing, if I'm not Aragorn, if I'm not Gimli, I can't just cut down like 15 goblins and keep moving.
Mhm.
Like it's going to be an actual like fight to like have
Right.
your own little piece of the pie here. But yeah, that's how I like attach to certain things.
Oh,
Less of the
Very
something
unique.
about like Final Fantasy VI. In that game, everyone's the main character,
Everyone is the main character.
but they mainly
everyone's the main
focus
character.
on everyone's the main character. There's like 1,000 main characters.
Well,
Like, so
it's
there's so
not.
many main
It's
characters.
not. It's not like
And,
everyone. It's like based who
but
you.
they focus
Yeah.
more on Terra.
Yeah.
But we all know there's like a lot of main characters in that game. But
It's
the
a
world
base.
is phenomenal.
It's a very nice game.
Mhm.
Very good game.
All right, we definitely went all over the place with that one.
Yeah, we were all over there. I guess for now we'll wrap it up. I think we can always come back to this topic and come at it at a different angle. We didn't even go through most of what was on the outline, but we covered most of it, I think. So we can go over what obviously what we enjoyed this week, if we enjoyed anything at all. Sometimes we have bad weeks. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
So
Here, I'll start.
you can start. Okay.
I've been obsessed with kitchen organization.
Oh boy.
Hey.
Yeah, yes, I have. Look, man. We moved into the house.
Mm-hmm.
Everything gets placed in different places. Everything's
Right.
put placed in like here. And I've been like trying to get more into home cooking. And every time I walk in the kitchen, I'm like, all right, this needs to change.
Yeah.
Not only because of organization, but because of like the way we buy food, trying to prevent food waste, trying to see what we have so we can actually use it instead of like buying things like twice, 3 times, whatnot. So I've been highly obsessed with that.
Okay.
Nice.
What about you, Daquan?
What have I enjoyed this week? I don't know. Done a lot of like reading up on some stuff for physics, just looking to see what that community is up to. And then I did watch Rings of Power a little while ago.
Oh boy.
And yep. And I just finished Star Trek Strange New World season 2.
Nice.
I need to watch season 2. I haven't watched it yet.
Great. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. For me, I finished the He Who Fights with Monsters series. I think there's gonna be a book 12, but I finished all 11 books, and man, that was a heck of a ride. I loved every minute of it. It was funny, it was witty, the story was great the entire time, and I can't wait for book 12.
Okay.
A lot of books.
Yeah, it is. I
Just a lot
ran
of
to do
books.
that.
Jesus. I've quote unquote, we'll use the term relapse. I've been playing way too much League of Legends.
Mm-hmm.
I've been I have some friends that I play with, and they really only play League, Valorant, and Apex. So it's like I don't really enjoy Valorant like long term, and Apex is hit or miss. So I was like, I guess we're just playing League. And so I've been dragged back into that, and I've been playing ranked, unfortunately. But other than that, it's been a good week. And then I've swapped classes twice now in 1 week for raid in Final Fantasy, but it is how it is, you know?
It do be like that.
So we'll go ahead and wrap up here. Thanks again for listening this week. So going forward, just like Daquan said at the beginning of the episode, he is our new member. He will be here from now until whenever this is over. So we will see you guys next week.
Cool.
Yeah.
Peace.